I put this afterward at the beginning of the video. I forgot to say how happy I am that Intact Global has succeeded in defeating the defendant's motion to dismiss in the Hadacheck versus Oregon case. That is outstanding. And yeah, I read their reply to the defense motion to dismiss, and it was brilliant. Uh, so very good. And Eric is brilliant. Eric Klopper, Peter, outstanding, and Lake Paraguay apparently also. I'm actually wondering who the main writer was on that reply, because writers are my favorite people. Um, so yeah, and you can see this thing happening synergistically, and I certainly, I spent the better part of 6 decades trying to burp up that writing that I referred to later in this video. It wasn't until then, when I was about 60, this is 7 years ago, that I'd found the online movement, or I found the movement online. And this is the point I always make. Intactivists have always existed. And but you just don't know each other. You're just one man against this mesmerization that I talk about later in this video. And so now the internet brings us together in force, and that's a beautiful thing. There you go, wasn't technology that Ted should have been after, but it was technologists. I've talked about that over and over, but and not even all of them is just the ones that are taking thought and so mesmerized that they walk across a boundary and don't see themselves doing it. This is why I call circumcision Mengele medicine. You know, there was another man, highly educated, well thought of by his peers, serious scientific method in his studies, published in peer-reviewed magazines, journals, but oblivious. I mean, so strange. So we're doing that circumcision today is that exact thing. You've gone out of bounds, and now you're just doing something. Okay, anyway, I'll put this at the beginning of the video I was just making. Well, I had a talk I wanted to do on mesmerization. Hang on. And but I just got a paperwork on my case against Advent Health. I haven't read it yet, but it appears to be a slap action. The defendant is flummoxed and, being a bit desperate. But anyway, I'll read that. And the thing about getting paperwork is, and this was in my last filing, I've tried getting a meeting with the governor, with the attorney general, with state attorneys, and with police chiefs, and God knows who else, senators and congressmen. And you get dead silence. I got a FOIA request in for an ambassador from Denmark several years ago, discussing circumcision with the intactivist group there in a most inappropriate way. So, but the thing is, they don't say anything. What lawyers always tell you, don't say anything, Excuse me. And so the only time they have to say anything is when you send in $400 to $500 and file a lawsuit. Then the defendant has to say something, and even the judge at some point has to say something. And I just haven't been impressed. But and this isn't. require any IQ. I don't have an overabundance. But when something is so overtly, you know, misapplied, misassociated, uh, then anybody can say, hey, no, that's, up is not down and down is not up. So it's we're working with axioms here, and equal protection is one of them, and not performing surgery, elective surgery, no less, on a non-consenting patient. It's axiomatic. You don't do that. If you do that, you're committing a crime. So anyway, that I'll upload that and link it in the description field of this YouTube video. But I want to talk about mesmerization. I wrote a short book called Jesus and the Unabomber. It's just short. It's on Amazon. And it's linked on my website, broadfork.com. And here were two guys that were severely traumatized in infancy. And if you, please don't take my word for it, search on the internet for, is trauma a catalyst for bipolar disorder? Or just go to the CDC's ACEs page, Adverse Childhood Experiences. Just look. This is a report that was issued subsequent to many psychologists observing this phenomenon where early trauma results in all kinds of difficulties. I mean, why do we have laws against child abuse? Okay, back to mesmerization. So these two guys, Jesus and the Unabomber, they don't seem to know what they're fighting against. And this is straight out of the CDC report. It's not straight out of it, but it's enmeshed. You've just got PTSD. I've known many a men, thinking of a Nietzsche quote, gone into the woods and shot themselves because they had become both the battle and the battlefields of virtue. Another author did something very similar, so it was neither Nietzsche or I can't remember which author it was, but so these guys have PTSD and struggling like a son of a gun, and a bunch of times it comes from that torture session, that violent hazing session of infancy. And now you've seen recently Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the health secretary, noting that the incidence of autism in circumcised men is double. And so they're asking people not to use Tylenol for babies and pregnant mothers. I agree with that. Process of elimination is a completely valid approach to troubleshooting. And so when you look at the mother's report of both Jesus and the Unabomber, she's the reliable witness. That was in a movie too, that expression, the reliable witness. Title's not going to come to me. Sorry, I'll put it in the description field if I remember. So here's guys, Jesus and the Unabomber, who were trying to tear mesmerization down to obliterate it. Why? Because they got tortured because of it. Come on, guys. And what happens with Jesus? He becomes the object of mesmerization. That is you know, the humor of the gods. Hey, girls. So anyway, I don't know what to tell you. Make this video for posterity. I'll take my word on it. What can I tell you? Jesus did seem to figure out at the end of his life what the driver was. Again, Gospel of Thomas, part 4 and part 53. And Ted, his mother told him, you know, the story, and he didn't believe her. He super intelligent guy, super intelligent. It had to be something he could figure out. And I'm sorry, I can relate to that. I got decades and decades doing that. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down in that little book. And I edit that book annually, and I already have notes for another edit. But who knows when I'll get around to it. So Jesus, you know, he said, you think I came to bring peace, but I came to bring fire, and how I wish it were already started. Well, that's a violent thing to say. But there is a reason behind it, you know? If you had the ability, and you're a newborn baby, and you're being tortured, and you could push a button that would lay waste to the whole shebang, I would push it. I would. But I managed, you know, that thing about Ted murdering. And Ted said something similar to Jesus. You know, it's just better that we tear the whole system down and start anew. What, Ted? What the hell? You know, it is like, if you want to kill somebody, like we've seen recently in, I think it was in New York, somebody killing the healthcare executive. And or somebody killing politicians in, I'm going to say Minnesota. When I sit out here and talk, I don't know if they think that they're worried about me, or they think that I want to talk to them. Or the Charlie Kirk session. So you kill somebody, but do you fix anything? And the answer is no. The efficacy is not there. And so I'm in court. And the job of the hi girl. The job of the court is to pursue justice. It's equal protection. It's unbiased pursuit. You can read it. Please also search that. What is the mission of the court? And so, you know, this is the thing about mesmerization. It's a completely pleasant state. It's highly sought after. It's like the most pleasant state. But, you know, there's sidelines. There's boundaries to this game, and those are written in secular law. Doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what gender you are, how old you are. You know, you have to abide the law. This is the United States. This is So even though mesmerization is a very pleasant state, it's like ignorance. It is not a defense in the law. So anyway, long story short, what I'm suing to get injunction, order of injunction is just something that's profoundly illegal, and 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 this is proof positive that mesmerization is in play. Why would you argue against protecting a child? I mean, it's surreal. Let me pause and see what I got in my notes. Well, that was it. The inability to defer to the fundamental constitutional rights of your fellow human being is proof positive of the state of mesmerization.